So was that your last spring break?
That's a great question. So we've had this conversation based on school calendars, high probability, which I'm not going to miss per se. I mean, it was a good time, but we started looking at next year. So Megan, who is our youngest, she's senior in high school now, she's going to play softball in college. And I guess it was a couple weeks prior, the team had a tournament over their spring break in Orlando. So, because it's in Wisconsin. So, and I think, I want to say that the softball season technically starts like end of February. So in Wisconsin, it's
still
today's April 3rd of this recording. It still could be 30 degrees and snowing in Wisconsin. They spend most of the first half of the season in the South doing tournaments.
Okay.
Yep.
And so I guess our spring break next year will be, if they're in Orlando again, or what have you. So
the tournament will dictate.
Yeah. So I think our spring breaks, at least for potentially the next 4 years, will be dictated by that. But doesn't have to be. Like at this point, college kids can go do whatever they want. We don't have any high schoolers or grade schoolers anymore, so we're kind of free to kind of do whatever. The parents that I've spoken to who are empty nesters now are like, it's great because we're no longer bound to those same weeks that
everyone is traveling.
Half the country is traveling.
Right.
Prices are crazy.
Yep.
Now I can go. We're not snowbirds yet. We can't do that, but we could go away for 2 weeks in February just to get away from the cold and go relax somewhere. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. We just took a long weekend where we used to go to spring break for like 8 to 10 years down near Reddington Beach, Indian Shores, Indian Rocks, and just went through like a Friday through Tuesday, but without kids, and just to kind of revisit. It was a different weekend. Wasn't that busy. There's 50 feet either direction to somebody else on the beach.
Nice.
Roads were quiet to ride on, so it was nice. But just
I assume it was very enjoyable then.
Yes, but then we came back, and I think that was the week when it was 19 degrees.
Yeah, like, can we just,
like we could have made that a little longer of a break. But
yeah,
that's good.
A little bit of a reprieve.
Yeah. What's your youngest?
22, and it's going to be 26.
Oh, okay. So you guys are. Is the 22 still in college, or is she out?
No, both IU grads.
Right.
So she's been out for over a year and gainfully employed, banking some money, living at home still. So it's nice to have her at home right now. And
speaking of banking some money, she's not the only one. Finally, you got a raise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Absolutely. Although we have a wedding for our oldest daughter this year, so so it's kind of
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I'm learning more and more there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good stuff, but it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a different conversation. Different podcast for that one. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that for a while.
Not for a while.
You just
Not
start
for a while.
saving.
Yeah, I need to start now so that interest can accrue.
Your twins are how old?
4.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's got a ways to go.
2 girls?
Boy and a girl.
Okay.
Yep. So we've got some time, but we're now this is the first time that we're coordinating into their first spring break at their preschool kindergarten that follows like the Carmel school spring breaks.
Okay.
So we are heading next week down to like Pigeon Forge, Gatlin area. So figured a good spot for a little older than toddlers, but a lot of fun stuff to do. It's got all the touristy fun things that they'll love and eat up, putt, all that fun stuff. So
the short attention spans, that will be great.
We could drive there. It's like it's an easy trip.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Nice.
Wait till you do Disney for spring break.
Yeah, Kelsey's already brought that up.
As we just said, start saving now.
Yeah. She threw out doing a cruise as well, and it was like, well, there's the Disney cruise, and I looked that up, and it's like, let's not do that over spring break. That is way more expensive.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
We had in Hamilton County, right? We had a fall break, so we did Disney once over fall break, and that was phenomenal because the line. I mean, it's always busy, right?
Sure. Yeah.
The lines, the temperature was ideal.
Was good.
The Halloween, theme and all that jazz, but it's a lot less chaotic, I think, and stressful. Because you want it to be fun and relaxing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
At that time, But
did you have a fall break when you were in school?
Not myself, no.
Yeah,
but never.
I think we had maybe a day or two, but that was our fall break. Now it's a full week, and then it's turned into like, oh, well, this is like spring break. We have to go somewhere. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh well. All right, ready to roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Is this thing on? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Summits Podcast. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. Whether you're on spring break or not, we're happy to have you tuning in. If you're tuning in on the Heroes Foundation YouTube channel, thank you for doing so. While you're there, hit that subscribe button, the little notification bell icon so you can be alerted when new episodes like this one drop. Be great, absolutely free, a lot cheaper than going to Disney over spring break, I can assure you. Special guest today, guys, Court Maple. He's got some nicknames. I'm going to leave those out. Most of them revolve around the bicycle, but we'll maybe he'll share some of them as we go along. At least the ones we're able to publicly share. Yeah. All right, Court, welcome to the Summits Podcast.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
You're welcome. Court, why don't we give everybody a little background intro on yourself?
Sure. Court Maple. The full name's Courtland, but Court for short. Third generation family name. So it was always like growing up, it was like big Court, little Court, old Court, young Court. So anyway, spelled it a little differently. So anyway, so sometimes if you know, they may see it like, let's say on LinkedIn as Courtland, but Court for short. Keep it simple. Yep. Father of two girls, two IU grads. So nice. It's been fun this year.
Yep. Hey, you get all the accolades this year. That's for sure. Yep.
But it was the struggle was real though when they went to school because of COVID, and the athletics were not quite where they are now.
You mentioned they swam through high school. Did they swim at IU at all?
No, I think they were done. They were right. Exhausted of that physically, mentally, and whatnot, because it is so intense. But they set them up for success and time management for, I think, at college as well. Yeah. So it was a great experience for them. And this year too, married my college sweetheart. So we are going on our 32nd anniversary this year.
Nice. Awesome.
I joke, we were married when we were 16. No. Common law.
You too?
Yeah. But no, so it's been great as far as our family, and I say I'm a Hoosier by default, not by choice. Moved here, grew up, born in Charleston, South Carolina, on a Navy base. My older sister and I in Charleston, and then we moved to Cincinnati. Our entire extended family is in just a little east of Columbus, like Newark, Coshocton, Zanesville, Ohio, things of that nature. And but our family migrated to Cincinnati, and then my dad got a promotion when I was about 10 years old and moved to Fort Wayne. So grew up pretty much in my formative years in Fort Wayne, and been a Hoosier ever since.
Nice.
And went to Ball State, met Gina, my wife, and her family had just moved pretty much from Muncie down to Indy at the time. So after graduation from Ball State, I also had a great experience racing my bike overseas for a summer after graduation. So when that was all done, came back, I just moved to Indy and been here ever since.
Cool. When did you first start riding?
Probably this all started actually when I was like 10 years old, racing BMX, right?
Oh, okay.
I think racing BMX for a couple of years, hot and heavy. I mean, it was fun. My dad raced motocross as a young man.
Okay.
So your dad probably kind of got you in or exposed to it, at least initially.
Yeah, initially because it was reading like motocross action magazines, looking, seeing my dad he had a trailer, YZ 125 Yamaha in the garage, and I was still young. I mean, I was still like maybe 7 years old or so, 8 years old, but he put me on the bike, ride me around. I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Yep.
But we moved to to Fort Wayne. He sold the bike, sold the trailer. I had a younger brother at the time too, right? So just family gets in the way of of your hobbies like that, very expensive one. Yeah. So I started racing BMX. This is maybe a gateway to racing motocross. Well, it was fun, had some success at it, but also realized motocross is not in the future for time, money, energy. It's just not going to happen. And then you get, in middle school, high school, baseball was a big thing for a long time, track. And went to high school, it was track. We went to Fort Wayne, Northrop. The reigning baseball state champions. So I was maybe $125, 5'10". Made it to the last cut. Dreams were crushed my freshman year. Same thing happened my sophomore year. I'm like, so I started running track. So I had some endurance, I guess, to realize I have something there. But 1 year, again, we were, I think, the top 1 or 2 teams in the state in track and field too. Phenomenal track program. And I was just beat up, exhausted, running to the ground. Like, this isn't enjoyable. Watching, literally, I think my junior year in high school, watching the Tour de France on TV, like, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
That's my ticket.
Yeah.
And my senior year in high school, I had saved up from paper route money and whatnot. My first road bike.
Okay.
I thought it was cool. It was an Italian. It was a Torpedo. I thought, it had Modolo brakes. Well, the very, very low end Modolo brakes. Everything was low end. Yeah. But it was cool. Yeah. And that year, my senior year in high school, that summer going into my freshman year at Ball State was really when just getting introduced to the Fort Wayne Three Rivers Velo Club and getting to know some people. There's a young man who had worked with my mom. Mm-hmm. He had just maybe 5 years out of Ball State and was telling me how good the cycling scene is, because I thought IU is the place to go, right, for Little Five and things. But I really didn't know much about it other than that. And really just when I didn't know anything going into Ball State as not even a licensed racer, if you will, as a Category 4, which is a novice. Okay. But by the time I graduated, I was like a Category 1, which also kind of at that time qualified, or I could have qualified, I guess, for like the Olympic trials. And I was like, man, this is fun. The whole collegiate cycling scene went from kind of a ragtag, unorganized group my freshman year, going down to Indiana, Kentucky spring training series events in vans from Muncie, to organize sponsorship, school funding, product sponsorship, and the Midwest Cycling Conference started like in 1989, my sophomore year. And we qualified, Ball State did, for 3 national championships.
Sweet.
So we went to Stanford, went to Washington State, went to, I didn't go because of my sister's wedding, but a race nationals in Georgia.
Okay.
So we had, Ball State had a great cycling scene, late 80s, early 90s, a strong like an A, B, and C squad, if you will, 40 people. And it was like us and IU, and then individuals could qualify too based on points. So the top 2 teams would go, and generally it was like us and IU or Purdue. Purdue had a phenomenal club, this organization as well. Still friends with people, Rodney Miller and Kevin Baum, guys who helped set that up years ago. Okay. So really, long answer is freshman year of college, got the bug, and full speed ahead all through college, and maybe a little detrimental to some of my grades and choices, but it worked out well, and it just afforded me opportunities to explore a lot of experiences on the bike and off the bike.
For sure. Nice. And grades are important, but some of the lessons that you're learning through competition and training, like just work ethic, consistency, I think those carry on as well. I've been trying to teach that to some other kids that I know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think persistence, right? Persistence for sure, resilience, and there's just a lot of experiences. Just even organizing, really at Ball State I changed my major because of cycling. I went there as a landscape architecture major, but was waitlisted because we were still on trimesters. Waitlisted, and my roommate was my high school best friend, and he was going architecture. We were both waitlisted, but I'm like, it's a 5-year program. I can't be here 6 years.
Yeah.
I don't have time or the money to do that.
Yeah.
And at the time, my freshman year, I started putting out marketing proposals for the team. We got rims, helmets, just parts for the bike, money from the school. Not much, but some, which helped for gas money and whatnot. Right. And just so that made me pivot my focus, even just with my degree in marketing.
Okay.
And that opened up a whole opportunity of a career in sales, which I never thought I'd even be in.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that. My daughter, who is a senior at IU right now, we've had many a conversation, as I'm sure you've had with yours, about what's next. And I said, maybe I shouldn't say this as a father, but don't stress so much, because our age groups, if you got 50 or 100 of us or 10 of us, however many together, guarantee you more than 50%. Whatever they're doing today has nothing to do with whatever they majored in college.
Right.
And, it's not a big deal. Like, don't overthink it.
Right.
But easy for me to say.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Dad, you know nothing. I'm like,
okay.
You're right.
Yep. Absolutely.
So you graduated. How did the year overseas happen? How did that come about?
Well, back in the day, right, the Velo News was the main cycling magazine, a periodical. It was a newspaper-ish magazine. And back then, they had a classified section, right? To for send your resumes for these teams. Because there's no email, there's no websites, there's no nothing. So you'd see other teams at races and whatnot, and network with people and try to get, hey, I would like to join your team next year, or do you have any spots or things of that nature? Because there's a couple. I mean, there were some strong regional, elite amateur teams, in the U.S. But also knowing that racing criteriums isn't really the way that's going to be a career path on the bike. It's road racing, and to do that, you have to go overseas.
Okay.
And I graduated in December of '91, so I had a 4.5 year plan. My wife, now or fiance, not my fiance yet, but my girlfriend Gina, she still had a semester to go. So I'm like, okay, I had submitted my resume over that winter, the off season. And there's a guy putting together a composite team he was out of Colorado. He'd been there the year before. On paper, it looked great. It turned out not to be as great on paper. Just logistics wise, we're supposed to have 2 vans, and we had a good housing setup per se, but we had a Fiat with a rack that we had to put the bikes upside down on, and it was like the Bad News Bears. yeah. And eventually we had a mutiny, and we kicked the organizer out of the team, and then everything went well.
Okay.
But just that exposure, and that was from basically May through end of August. So it wasn't like a full season, but a summer.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But within that time frame was probably the best experience, on the bike. Also the worst. I mean, four of us got hit by a car riding to a race.
Oof.
We're on a bike path, trying to be pro-like, so my helmet was on my handlebars. But we were going 18 miles an hour on a bike path, right? Maybe if that.
Yeah. That's really fast.
But then, of course, there was a hill, so we're going downhill, and a car was stopped at the stop sign, and he's like, hey, he doesn't see us. He pulls out at the last second, and by that time, we're doing 30, right? And we just nail him, and I met Entire Village, came out to help us, met some nurses, we met some people. I spent a day in the hospital, but we missed the biggest race of the year, the Amateur Tour of Belgium. And we weren't by any means the national team, but we were recognized by the USCF. It was called the US Cycling Federation before US. And so we had a letter of, not say credentials, but we would get appearance money that would help with gas money, food, groceries, and things like that.
Yeah.
But made a network of friends after that crash for cycling purposes and even the social aspect of living overseas. And it had a chance. I met Eddie Merckx as a result, because my bike was badly damaged. So I'm like, all right. At the time, it's kind of an exotic bike. It was a Guerciotti. It was part carbon, part aluminum, and it was it was damaged. It had 2 bits. Things were bent.
So in the early 90s, that is. I mean, there probably wasn't a whole lot of carbon at that point in time, or only at that level.
And it was it was one of my favorite bikes. A bike shop in Fort Wayne, Summit City Bicycles, had gifted it to me that year for the trip. So I had a lot of sentimental value to it, and so I told the insurance guy, it's like, look, we need to take it to a factory who knows what they're doing. So we would go to the Eddie Merckx factory, and Eddie Merckx comes out himself. And I'm like,
that's
what?
Freaking
this
cool.
is amazing. There's pictures of his son, Axel, who I ended up racing with that summer, on the wall with his big German Shepherd. I mean, it was just amazing. It's so surreal.
Yeah.
And Eddie Merckx touching my bike and putting his foot in my crank, and it's creaking. He's like, oh, this bike is kaput. I'm like, if Eddie Merckx said my bike is kaput, can I have that Motorola one on the wall for the next 2 months?
Yeah.
But it was awesome. So it just those experiences, right? That, again, if I wasn't on the bike or just a fan or didn't make those decisions, I would have never have experienced that, right? So that's just something I'm very grateful to have those experiences. And although maybe missed the biggest race of the year, we made friends. I met Eddie Merckx. I have a story to tell 30 years later.
Spent 5-6 months in Europe as a 22-ish-year-old, 23-year-old, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
What all countries did you make it to?
Just in Belgium.
Just in Belgium.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Belgium, it was the hotbed. We had half the team, even before we left, we went to a training camp in California, and some of the guys decided to go to France instead. And even on the team, Belgium was where all the racing was, and that was where my focus. And just the frequency of what we can do in different types of events, kermesses, interclubs, and some of the semi-classics, some of the big races like Tour of Belgium. Not all of it panned out, but also it was a phenomenal experience. And but also coming back from that was I'm kind of tired of being a starving artist from college. Getting hit by a car, it's not like AA, AAA baseball where you have a contract there's nothing behind that, right? Was invited back by a particular couple people that said, hey, we'd love to have you back next year, but that wasn't genetics getting, I figured things out, as far as what my strengths were.
Sure.
1992, I'm eating Little Debbie's. Other people are taking EPO. No. So anyway, it was just.
But the Belgian beer was good.
Yeah. And even that was very limited because I had just turned 21. Well, I guess that was back, in the fall.
Sure.
But still, nonetheless, it was a phenomenal experience. And I would encourage anyone, even just traveling abroad.
Yeah.
And that's even one thing with COVID, like impacting my daughter, our oldest daughter. She's going to have a opportunity to go overseas, for a semester abroad or whatnot, or at least 6 weeks. But that fell through because of that. But it's like those experiences I would cheer certainly for my own children, but for anyone to explore. And
experiences are key. It's funny you say that because as we theoretically get older, we're still very immature. At least asking my wife, she'll tell you. The experiences are starting to trump things.
Right.
And it's like, I heard my parents say that, and I just blew it off when I was younger. But now, as we somewhat mature, we're like, they were right.
Yep.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. I know what you've done in the last 5 or so years, or maybe 5 to 10. When you came to Indy, did you immediately start getting back into cycling, or when did that happen? And at what point did you start getting into the local racing scene?
Sure. No, I took a break. After 1992 was a full, intense season, and I was just okay. I have to make some life decisions here too, right? So I came back to Fort Wayne, trying working a couple part-time jobs to get to Indy, just to move here and have a job.
Okay.
Fortunate enough to have connections in cycling landscape. Where my first job was at Zip. So I was like, hey, this is right in my wheelhouse, but it's also couldn't live independently off of that too, right? In 1993, was engaged to now my wife. So we got married in 94. So just those, adulting, apartment, wedding, saving up, to have a house after that. So my wife, she's an accountant and she's going back to school, getting her CPA. And my first job out of my real corporate job, after I worked at Zip for about a year. Great opportunity. Again, met the likes of Andy Ording, phenomenal person and mentor too, just in business and life. Still, follow him and what he's doing. Just lifelong connections. Worked at GE, so GE Supply. So I had 9 years in electrical sales, but going through GE, understanding their corporate culture was big on, of course, career development and. I had some of the managers and leadership at GE was getting their MBAs, and GE was paying for school, right? So I'm like, all right, you know what? I wasn't the most focused, my undergrad with a lot of things going on. So I went back to school and got my MBA.
Oh, nice.
So through Indiana Wesleyan at the time, and it was a great program. They were just starting their LEAP program, so that was in the late 96 to 98 when I was doing that. So I was just, I was playing golf at times, softball league with friends, and just really a mental break from the bike too. And then started riding some more, again, just recreationally. Our first daughter was born in 99. So I was looking back because my first probably connection with the Team Heroes group was the segue off the Ride for Roses that you had in Texas, right? But the Heroes ride in Mooresville.
Right, yeah.
It was September 22nd, 2001. I went back and looked at my diary last night. And my diary input was Heroes fundraiser ride in Mooresville, took it chill, had fun. It was 3.5 hours, 60, And that was it. Very just written on my handwritten calendar, that I kept my log in. But I think before that, I think the entire month of September, I rode 6 times.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it was very, very sporadic. So I started getting back into the scene, if you will, riding with the Mob Squad Cycling Club. My Ball State teammate and good friend Mario Camacho had started that. It was called Mob Squad for Motivated Over Bicycling.
Okay.
So and a lot of former Ball State alumni were down here. I'm like, I'm not too keen on racing, but I'll start riding. And then sure enough, started riding consistently. So about 2005, 2007.
Back in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. But at that point in time, instead of doing big events, or there's gravel wasn't even a thing, and mountain biking wasn't on my radar. Just time trials. Okay. So me and about 4 or 5 guys did time trials for like 5 years, because they're typically early in the morning, maybe at Kokomo, Monrovia, maybe over in Greencastle, Ohio, or up in my neck of the woods in New Haven, Indiana. Maybe 1-2 a month, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. You're home by 10. Oftentimes I could do the Monrovia time trial early in the morning and be home in time, just in time to go to church.
Okay. Yeah.
So the late service. Yep. So it was a win-win for everybody. So it just make it fit the family, right?
Yeah.
I've already been there, done that. It doesn't have to be about me. It's family first, and showing up for family is priority.
Yeah.
So that's something where, and the girls were definitely young, but also as I'd evolved, come to find out they like going to races and stuff too. So we made a family affair there for
I think I distinctly remember. I couldn't tell you what year this was, but at the Indy Crit downtown, I remember. I think I was staying with Don and whoever else was around us. You were still on Mob Squad, but the conversation came up, and you were doing well. Like, I don't know if you may have won that race, whatever age group that you were in at the time. And Don said, "Hey, we need him. I'm working on him to bring him over to Team Heroes." And I was like, it's like we're talking about sports and bringing players over. Yeah. That was well before the portal and any of that stuff. But I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I mean, if he's a winner, let's get him on the team. Like, you didn't have to. You just had to be competitive. You didn't have to know anything about cycling. Just the competitive spirit. Like, we want the best folks. And
because I always knew of Don and the group. I mean, in the early 2000s. But again, I just wasn't focused on riding, and just with my loyalty at the time with my buddy with Mario and Mob Squad. I'm like, I'm not taking it that seriously, right? I'm just having fun. And even now, it's still just fun, and not let it to get to a point where it feels like a job, or feels like, there's moments when you're riding and you get caught in the rain, or you're doing an indoor trainer session. Like, why am I doing this on a Saturday, 7 a.m. or whatnot? But it's also setting an example for your kiddos, just making that discipline.
Sure. When you came over, how many years have you been on Team Heroes now, would you say?
It was the official transition year was like 2015. So it's been
it's 10
11
years.
years. 11 years. 11 years now.
Let me ask you this. What motivated you to make that change, if there was a particular motivation? And then in 11 years since being on Team Heroes, like what are the things that stand out to you?
Sure. No, I think it was a moment, a great segue, because Mob Squad, we had several members like literally just move away, job wise. Or there's brain drain, and then there's also bike drain. With the brains goes the bikes. Like, oh man, these guys are moving. Yeah. And even now with our young kids that we're trying to recruit, from like Little 5 riders or whatnot, who are moving, and like, shoot, man, we wish we could stay here. Yeah. So it's just Mob Squad was kind of just, I wouldn't say fading, because people were moving away. Yeah. The team leader, Mario, was focused on judo. He was a black belt judo. He's awesome. Wow. As a sensei, his daughter was moving towards judo as well. Mm-hmm. So he was just fully engrossed with that. Yeah. I wasn't going to upset anybody like, hey, I'm going to leave these guys, Mob Squad, and go join, Heroes. And then also I started riding with some of the guys early morning before the daylight savings happened. Mm-hmm. There was like the 5:15, 5:30 a.m. Hammerfest on Tuesdays that we would zip along throughout Fishers, even on 116th Street, because you could back then. Yeah. You could, like in 2011. Yeah. So just getting to know the guys too. And I'm like, hey, they're literally in my backyard. The ride would start 2.5 miles from my house. Yeah. From over at Geist Coffee when it was, or Mama Bear's when it was officially. Yeah. So it just became like a good. Logistics. It worked out well. Company wise, as far as the company we kept, the people, everyone got along great. Yeah. The intensity level was challenging as well. So I'm like, okay, this is challenging, and plus riding early in the mornings in the dark was like, I'm not too keen on that. And that's, I love daylight savings. I know there's a big argument, people don't like it, but for cycling purposes, it's an absolute joy. Yeah. For the evening night owl in me. Sure. Maybe not so much for the early morning folks.
I like a lot of golfers would agree with you as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. exactly. So, and then just with meeting with the group of guys, I mean, it's right. Don, like, I think Damien was over there at that time. Steve Byrne was over there, of course. Greg Lyons, Chris Clark, and we just got probably a good 8 to 10 guys on a regular basis, and then it evolved into on the weekend rides, right, as well, where there's 20, 30, 40, 50 people. Yeah. And sorry, on Sundays we maybe even get 60, and it's just a nice community, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a community. It evolved. It became, I found my tribe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a very eclectic tribe. it's awesome. But yeah, so in 2015 it was like lockstep in joining the team and understanding the bigger purpose, what it's all about. And we ride, we have a jersey, but there is a bigger purpose. And then even I think my first Spin for Heroes kind of opened up like, oh wow, there's a lot of people we can touch or should be touching outside of our little network of people on bikes.
Yeah, well said. You've been very successful in that 11-year span. But to your point, kind of that was a good segue. There's a bigger purpose. What are some of the things that stand out to you that you've learned over that time span about what kind of is that added motivation for Team Heroes, but also what you've learned about the Heroes Foundation in general?
No, great, and I think that's the key to all this too. Is like rather growing up as a amateur athlete or whatnot, you're trying to get sponsorship, money, funds, gear, because you're gonna wear and tear and you need some help, right? Mm-hmm. But then also as you mature and you also have some more just stability and income, where it's like, okay, I appreciate maybe free tires or rims or something, but in the grand scheme of things, this is a hobby and I need to just be an adult about this, right? Not like jump teams just to see what's in it for me, right? And not to whiff them, what's in it for me, what's in it, how can I help this group, or how can this group, impact me, not help me, but impact me.
Yeah.
And that's something where my eyes were open to. Really, I mean, the friendships start on the bike, and you have brief conversations on the bike because oftentimes you're riding, and you can't really talk, right?
Yep.
So it's those 10 minutes beforehand, or those 10 or 20 minutes afterwards to get to know people, what they do in life, what's going on in their life, and then understanding too. There's such a vast, whether we have realtors, we have surgeons, we have plumbers, we have sales guys, right?
Yep.
The whole different, and so it's like, man, there's mentors in so many different areas than just mentoring somebody on how to ride a bike efficiently and fast and hard.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I think initially you go into it like, hey, this club's going to help me become a better rider. But then it's like, hey, this club's going to make me actually a better person. Or I can also help, hey, what are my skill sets or attributes? Not even skills. I mean, but if they need help, I can connect you with somebody, in this position. If it's, it's just people helping each other subtly. I mean, they don't puff up their chest and say, hey, I can do this. I do this for these 5 people. Like, no, it's just genuine care. Mm-hmm. And I think, trust. I mean, if you trust somebody's wheel doing 20, 30 miles an hour, say, on the bike, you can trust them in other aspects as well.
Yeah, sure.
Or you should be able to. And and if not, I mean, really, we don't have any membership criteria per se, but the criteria is you need to be a good ambassador, not just for the sport, for yourself, but for the foundation, because you represent something bigger than yourself. I mean, what's on our jersey.
Yeah.
So that's something that to be mindful of, and I think that's been impactful as well.
Yeah. I agree. All right, Court, what is your cancer story?
Man, well, unfortunately it's impacted my life in pretty all 3 segments, right? We have family, friends, and professionally, right, within the workspace.
Yep.
Not say my first introduction or knowing he was my grandfather. He was 44 when he was first diagnosed with a severe type of lymphoma. I only knew him for a short amount of time frame. I think I was 6, 7 years old. Not 6, 7, sorry.
Oh no.
But no, that he was in a clinical trial that gave him an extra decade of life. Wow. I mean, he passed when he was like 56. But didn't really get a chance to know him, but being part of an Ohio State clinical trial certainly helped.
Yeah.
But the ramifications of that, I watched my grandmother be a widow for 40 years and live strong. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, she lived till she was like 94 years old.
Yeah.
But just knowing, that how that impacted her and how that impacted my dad's life or our life just in general.
Yeah.
And then probably in the last decade, my wife's uncle passed as a retired school teacher. Had his prostate removed. That came back a few years later, and that was just very challenging because that was the first person our daughters, saw suffer.
Right.
And they're very, a young age and impressionable, and that's just a life lesson that you really don't want to experience, but you have to. And that was up close and personal, for sure. And then professionally, I mean, I had hired somebody as a sales manager probably 6 years ago. Maybe I've been in the pharmaceutical side of business for like 25 years. But shortly after I hired him, he had like a knee replacement surgery. So he thought something was going wrong with his knee or maybe an infection. It turns out metastatic prostate cancer. And it's right post COVID. So I think he had missed a couple appointments, I think during COVID, some checkups. And it's just an awful timing for that. And he's hanging in there now still. We still stay connected. But that's something too. We're just being proactive with screening, annual physicals, being on top of your own health. I mean, everyone's worried. As a father, you're worried about your kids and your wife, but also you have to take time for yourself. And that's something where that impacted me, but our team, and that's just something that see somebody still out there. He was a D1 athlete in his day, so he was still out there selling. He's sweating, he's losing his hair, losing his fingernails. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so. It's motivating. It's heartbreaking, but it's also motivating. It's like this guy, that's in his DNA to do his job and to bust it. And he's doing that now, even in being part of. He's in a clinical trial as well. Then I, personally, even on the team, right? We've had several people impacted on the team. Hard. I mean. The daughter of Mike Langan Presley, that was so hard. And that's, I think, as a teammate, I think we've learned too, because I think early on, everyone means good to say, hey, I'm here to help. Everyone's genuine about that. But also, I think oftentimes people aren't going to ask for help. So you have to kind of force your way in or just push the door in. We've had several other members on the team, cancer survivors. Of course, last year we lost our dear friend Dave Evers, and I know Scott was on and sharing his story too, Scott Kennedy, and that hit a lot of us close because in a very short amount of time frame we became very close, and we rode a lot together on gravel bikes and team trips and things of that nature. So, and just seeing that devastation that quickly, and then our other teammates with spouses going through the battles, losing their spouse or whatnot. That is so in every aspect. It's real, and it doesn't discriminate. And I think that's something where if there's anything that with the Heroes Foundation, I think the great thing I've seen probably more in the last, maybe in the last year, right, with some of the and your leadership and the organization of Heroes, like the direct impact report, like how tangible can we as a foundation help people? I mean, you read the annual report and it's like, hey, we know we've donated $300,000, say to IU or community or St. Vincent's or Notre Dame, Purdue, all the research, but to see it like, hey, we maybe help 105 people with gift cards to get transportation or food or and we've had a family friend benefit from the foundation, the outreach and the communication, or even setting up the foundation and David Evers' legacy. Just the assistance, right? Yeah. So just again that networking where I don't pretend to have any answers, but I may be able to connect you to somebody that can help, and that person may be able to connect you to help.
The way you broke that down was perfect. It's also timely because with Fit for Heroes campaign going on right now, the other day I was texting back and forth with Tara, who our marketing coordinator, and I can't remember how it came up, but something, at least she was asking me like, what's my campaign going to be or whatever. And I said, well, here's my campaign, but here's what I'm going to ask. Here's my ask. I want 26 people to donate $26. It seems pretty simple. Mm-hmm. And as part of that, pinging people with that, it's like, okay, well, what's $26? What can $26 do? Right. I think you just kind of hit the nail on the head where $26 could buy a Lego set for a pediatric inpatient cancer patient, or 10 $26 donations at $260 can go to the patient assistance fund. And here's what that does. Like, it's, I don't know if small wins is the right way to look at it, but that's kind of what it is. I mean, to your point, yes, we can say, hey, we gave, $100,000 or $300,000 or $1 million to this, but it's also those little amounts that make a huge impact. And that's kind of goes back to, gosh, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago or whatever, we had, I think it was $25,000, and we had, at that point in time, we weren't doing anything with research yet. Yep. And research takes billions of dollars, right?
Right.
And so our mindset was kind of like, what's 25 grand gonna, like that's not even a rounding error in the world of research. So we said, well, we still want to do something, but let's talk to people at IU who actually know that industry, know that sphere, and say, okay, we got 25 grand. Here's our mindset, but like, what can we do? They're like, actually, that could be hugely important. We're like, oh, awesome. How? And so, well, Dr. So-and-so has this hunch. They can't just go get a $2 to $5 million grant right away. Yep. They got to prove some stuff out. So that $25K is very valuable because it can go in almost like an angel investor.
Right.
And they could buy supplies. They could buy lab time. They can hire an assistant, a PhD assistant or whatever. And so we said, okay, great. That sounds awesome. Glad to know that. And so we actually did that. And I think it was maybe our second or third foray into that, where this researcher not only proved out what he was trying to work on, and he was able to go on and get that big grant. And for us, like
a phase 1 study, or
I mean, we didn't benefit from that per se, but just the feeling of seeing him succeed like made us feel really good. We're like, okay, we want to do more of that. I talked about that, I think, on our one of our last episodes about getting these researchers in, and we talk to them, and they're super excited, and they describe everything, and I'm like, I have no idea what you just said. It's just totally over my head. But I remember that dude in particular, he was Polish, here at IU, very thick Polish accent, but he was super excited. So he's talking really fast. So that combined with the accent, we're like, and just talking at an academic level well above me. I'm like, I don't know what you just said. He's like, okay, come here, come to this screen. And so he had this screen that was connected to his microscope, and he put the slide in, and he basically on this slide had some cancer cells. He injected this cocktail he was working on, and you could watch on the screen. And basically it was like a video game where the cancer cells just exploded. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, awesome. That was a great sales tool.
Yes,
we're in.
Actually see it. Yes,
visual.
Yeah. I'm sure being in the pharmaceutical space, you've seen like how those initial investments or those trials that need to have some level of funding to be able to get things moving to get to the breakthrough drug or whatever that is, right?
No, absolutely. And even part of that, I was thinking about this on the way over. Probably at 4 of my 25 years or so in pharma, I was like a field access manager for a prostate cancer drug.
Okay.
So for ADT, right? I mean, ADT therapy, androgen deprivation therapy that suppress testosterone. And I think you've had some guests, talk about them being on that therapy too, and how devastating. I mean, that is devastating because you're taking their testosterone levels down to below 20, right? Below 10, right? Mm-hmm. And because that will feed to prostate cancer. So, but just being in that position where my job was to help, make our drug available, to oncology, urology, hospital systems or whatnot, and just knowing that it can help, but also knowing family and friends who are on that therapy and how it wipes them out. And certainly people who are wanting to be active, whether they're triathletes, runners, just going to Costco, right? Certainly, let alone ride a bike. But that was the motivating factor, or not factor, but very motivating to see friends like Dave Green, being driven and motivated to stay active, and knowing that those type of therapies are hard, and some people even when you off of them, people don't respond quickly, or even if they do, it's not quite the same. So anyway, it's just something where I've knowing kind of behind the scenes, again, not directly knowing which patients are on what drugs or whatnot, but just, hey, if our product can slow the disease progression, I like that satisfaction of my job.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much, I guess, lab work is going into not just slowing the progression or defeating the cancer, but now it's also, hey, we have this drug cocktail. It's been really successful for 10 years. That's great, but it completely destroys so many other aspects of the human body. How can we have the same positive outcome but be less toxic to the person? And there's a ton of research dollars going into that, let alone just trying to find the cure.
Right. Or it's not just monotherapy. It's duplet, triplet. I mean, different modalities to soften the blow, if you will, and not make it so devastating, so people can bounce back and have the quality of life and, again, slow the disease progression.
And start to be more, and you probably, I was saying the same thing, but in a different way, more precise. It's not just, here's the one cocktail for everyone. Yeah. Now they've gotten to a point where the three of us might have the same disease, but, we're not doing the exact same therapy that might be slightly modified for whatever reason for all three of us.
Yep. Right.
And that's cool. And I think we've all have seen now stories of people that we know who are now in the survivor category that maybe just 5 or 10 years earlier probably wouldn't have been, because of the advances they've made. And so it's exciting.
No, absolutely. And not say leave out, but no, my dad is a prostate cancer survivor. I mean, he was diagnosed, I'm gonna say about 7 years ago. But that's something where, again, he just had, targeted, not just, but had targeted radiation, but being so specific, to your point, the brachytherapy, that it was targeted, and that's all he's needed. So he hasn't needed to have the ADT therapy or others, and doing phenomenal. Yeah, so that's a blessing. Yeah. But again, if we all live long enough, we'll all probably have prostate cancer to some degree. But it is something where just when you that initial shock, and then but the motivation, he has several grandkids too, that he's like, hey, I want to be here for my grandchildren.
For sure.
And so he's surprised of her.
Yep. Well, that's good. That's great to hear. Yeah. Cord, let's finish it up with what is your motivation today, whether it be on the bike or just in life in general?
That's a big question.
Yeah. It's a bombshell to end on.
What is the meaning of life?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Well, my motivation is keep moving forward, right? Hey, what's done is done, positive or negative, in behind the scenes, right? Make the most of the opportunities that are in front of you. It's kind of like, you make your own your own luck too, right? By preparation, being able to pivot. But I think, and what I do every day, I think it's just, how can I be a positive influence somewhere, somehow,
to somebody, in some way,
right? Yep. How can I be of assistance? And that's, again, I made a career change, company wise, it's a few months ago, but I'm more on the patient services side. So my job, if I can help make a time to treatment for a drug, in the ophthalmology space, if I can help somebody see or better or not lose an eye, phenomenal. That will give me satisfaction behind the scenes, probably 10 levels behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's just, but if I can help mentor somebody on the bike, whether it's a recent college graduate, some high school kids. We have a great young man who's a great leader on the team, Lucas Fry. He moved down just to North Carolina with his family here this past year. But somebody who was, 15 at the time, 16, just you could just see soaking up everything on the bike, right? And just the joy of being outside, the joy of learning from others. And if I can help mentor, not necessarily even coach. I mean, I can coach or whatnot, but I don't want to go do 5 intervals at a minute.
Right.
That's not what I'm interested in doing.
Yeah.
I don't even do that myself anymore. Trying not to. But just to help guide or influence, and not necessarily tell and direct, right? Guide and influence. Kind of just like as the children get older too. It's like, I want to tell you this, but okay, I can't tell you, but if you ask me, or I'll kind of guide and push. And, much better. My wife is much better than I am by far.
I agree.
Yes. And then, just even within the group of Team Heroes, right? There are guys who are going through some things that maybe, they don't want to share. They don't want to put the burden on everybody else. But also if I can educate or communicate to others that, hey, this person needs some help. Mm-hmm. So let's take a consistent approach. We don't have to blow up their phone and one day and say, hey, we're here for you, we love you, but what can we do for you? But also, hey, you know what? Just show up, right? Just leaning in is great, but also again, sometimes you just have to open the door and put your foot in the door first, to be of what that friend may need.
Yep.
So I think just as guys in general, we're not keen on raising our hand, asking for help.
Yeah, right.
I think I've heard Brandon Liam say that too, right? With his building refuge, right? And I think that's with people on the team. If I can, I've been co-leading now the club, I think, for a couple of years. But if I can help elevate our level of communication amongst each other. Also, we're growing. We've had probably the record number of people order new kits this year too. Nice. Over 140 people.
Oh wow!
Which is great.
Yeah.
But we also need to kind of, it's also like herding cats, right? You have to help bring them in. Yeah. And not everyone. We don't need everyone to be. We don't want everyone to be competitive, right? Okay. Hey, just be a good ambassador on the bike, off the bike too. I have to remind myself that. Riding through roundabouts and other things, I'm like, all right, just keep my hands on the bars. Don't yell. Don't say something because I just got cut off. Yeah. But it's just something where that mindset of how can I be a positive influence on and off the bike? How can I be a positive influence, represent not the brand, but the mission? And I think I've said put the mission in motion.
Yep.
How can we, as Team Heroes, put the mission in motion? We put it on motion on the bike.
Yep. Sure. Where else can that extend?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the subtle things too. It's not, hey, I'm on a podium, Team Heroes.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But maybe the person who stopped at mile 25, mile marker, helped somebody change a flat tire.
Yeah.
Right. That's an ambassador. That's leadership of somebody willing to help somebody when it's 35 degrees and snowing outside in the middle of a race, and somebody's like, oh, what do I do? One of our guys will step up and do that, and that's happened on numerous occasions. So happy to grow with the foundation. It's been 25 years, and I think we're also partnering with some key events again this year, but some new events as well with Dust Bowl 100, the marquee Dust Bowl or gravel race in Indiana in the Midwest. It's gone from 400 people to 1,500 people in a matter of 5 years, and then also partnering with Momentum Indy. With Momentum Indy and Jennifer Zvar, where they have a reset this year, new venue, new location, but we're going to be the marquee sponsor for the Fondo for the second year in a row. And again, so I think, no pun intended, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but if we can partner, with those.
Come on, Chris, where's the sound effects?
Partner with what's already in place and bring support, vibrancy, and bring the message. I'll just wrap this up with my last example. I was at the SEBA swap meet this winter, 2 months ago. Central Indiana Bicycle Association, always around Valentine's Day. But I haven't gone for years. Logistics or time, whatever. So I had Nina. Nina's been a great representative of the foundation and a great asset to everything we're doing in the on the bike. Her and Tara for sure. I want to leave her out, and of course Cindy. But I got a tablecloth and I had a Team Heroes table. And I was there with Mike Lang, who was next to us, who's also a long time Heroes affiliated member and part of the OG group. But we had some swag. The Heroes Foundation chapstick. We had some hats and paper clips or whatnot. And I probably had at least half a dozen people, hey, what is Heroes Foundation? I'm like, hey, great. The 3 summits: prevention, education, research, and just engaging with them. And they would share. This one gentleman shared his wife's personal cancer story. Another gentleman opened his wallet, gave me $20. He's like, hey, give this to the foundation. I'm like, yes, but here's the web address on the chapstick. But just having that message that they had no idea that, hey, we're celebrating 25 years. We're right in the backyard. We're healthcare agnostic, where, IU, St. Francis community, whatever, and that we're making a difference. And so that was just, I'm not just there. My point is, I'm not just there selling old cycling stuff, right? But I was sharing a message, and that resonated with people. And I came with that. I was like, okay, it's a Saturday. It was like 10 degrees outside, but I'm like, you know what? That was very rewarding because I was able to engage with half a dozen people to tell at least the story,
right?
And hopefully there's action taken
because
back
of
from that.
Yeah, so that's well said.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you doing that. We appreciate you being on Team Heroes and all the work that you're putting into it, helping to lead the group. You're more than just another folk on the team. You show up and show out, as they say. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And thanks for coming.
Thanks for being here today.
Taking the time.
Yeah.
Sure. You bet.
Cool.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Yep. Thanks.
Thank all you guys for joining us too on this episode of the Summits Podcast. We appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to listen to court stories and absorb some more information about what the Heroes Foundation is doing for the Indiana cancer community. So we appreciate that. Again, if you're on the Heroes Foundation YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell icon if you haven't already done so. We would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, all this, as well explained, is all in an effort to beat cancer.